So far, we looked at different mouse-related events and learned how to add and delete DOM elements. Plus, we also learned how to remove event listeners when necessary. I want to show you an example of how you can prevent some default actions when working with events. So I'm going to use an event that handles right clicks called context menu. So let's go ahead and go into our code and just update this paragraph because we're going to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to say right click on the image to see a larger version, and also announce that the preview is going to follow the mouse. So I'll be using another event called mouse move to track the position of the mouse. So you can get an idea of how that works. So that's all we need for the HTML, and we'll dig into the JavaScript next. So first thing I need to do is change my event so that instead of detecting a mouse over, it's going to detect something called context menu. Right, so now if we go back into our movie, we refresh this. If we click, we're not going to get anything. If we right click, we're going to get the bigger photo. However, we're also getting this pop-up menu. And that's because the default action for right click is to bring the OS's context menu. But if you've seen applications like Google Drive or Google Docs, you know that you can create drop-down menus that are customized to whatever you're doing at the moment. So this is how this event works. So we'll go back here, and we need to prevent the default action. That's really easy to do. All we have to do is say prevent default. So we'll just come down here and say e.prevent default. And that prevents the default behavior of the event. So if we go back, we refresh. When we right click, we're not going to get the default OS context menu. And if we mouse out, it'll still destroy the picture. Now, another thing that I want to do is it would be nice if the position of the image that I'm bringing up would sort of follow the mouse position. I think it's a better effect, and it's not really that hard to do. So let's go back into our code here, and we're going to add a few lines of code asking essentially for a new event, and we'll just put that right here. We'll say e.target, just like we did the other events, and say add event listener. And this time, we're going to look for an event called mouse move. So mouse move. And of course, we're going to execute a function just like before. And in here, we're going to pass along a new event handler. So it's going to be an event called F. And we're going to start the function. And you know what? Since this is called event F, I'm going to move it right underneath this one that's called event D, just to keep the letters in order. It's not really a big deal. And all we got to do here is modify the value of the left position and the top position of the style sheet for this element. So I'm going to do my element and use style left. With this style property, you can modify any CSS that you want to by using the style properties right here. So what I want to change is the left property, and that's going to be equal to f.offset x, and then plus 15. And you have to add the word px at the end of this, because you can't just give a left property a value. It has to have a pixel amount. So you have to put the px value. And we can do the same thing for the top. And of course, in here, we're going to use offset y. And we're going to save this and come back here, refresh. And now when we right click, this is going to follow our mouse. Now there's a little bit of a problem. I don't know if you can tell. When I first right click, you can see that the event first appears at its original position, wherever we put it before. And then it kind of jumps as soon as I move it. And that's not good. We need to make it be at the position that we want as soon as it's created. So I'm going to switch back over here, and I'm going to copy these two. And whenever I generate the image, so here's where I create the image element. What I want to do is go ahead and add this right here. And of course, I want to track not the F object, because the F object doesn't get generated until I start moving the mouse on a right click. So this is going to be tracking the E, which is the original event. So I'm going to say E right here and E right there. Come back into the browser and refresh. And now when I right click, it's immediately going to be in the proper position, and it's going to follow the mouse. So not very much different here. With context menus that use the mouse move event to follow the mouse position, you need to worry about tracking the document's X and Y position. We did that easily by working with JavaScript's ability to modify styles. Now, as I mentioned before, when you learn how to work with one event, any other events are going to be pretty similar. So hopefully you're getting the hang of working with different types of events.